thank you all for joining the PPU, the April PPU. For all the new people who are joining or the first timers, welcome. And for everyone who's returning, thank you for joining again, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. So quick introduction from us. So I'm Sanne. I'll be your moderator today. I'm a customer growth manager for the Benelux. So some of you, I might actually know you. For everyone who doesn't know me, nice to meet you. With us today as well, we have Marta, who's going to be the live Q&A moderator. She will, you'll see her face pop up and hear her ask some questions. With us as well, we have Erica and Jorge, who are going to be chat support. So they'll be answering questions in the chat. He's not actually on the screen, but we're also very lucky to have Ike on board, who's our product expert, and he'll also be answering some questions later on. Definitely use the Q&A function in the chat. If you see a question that you're interested in, use the upvote function and we'll try and get to all those questions live. If not, they will be answered, as I mentioned in the chat. So chat guidelines, you might have seen this on the pre-slides, but please stay on topic. I know there's probably a lot of questions, but for questions that aren't related to what we're talking about today, you can scan that QR code, or I think there'll be a link in the chat, and you can ask those questions on the community. Of course, be respectful and polite. I think I don't need to ask that of you. I think that's what we always get in these PPUs. And finally, if you have a question, just put a little Q at the front and they'll be easier for us to spot. Perfect. So let's get started on the agenda. So we're going to be talking about surveys, in particular NPS scores and the filtering and heat maps. Then we're going to move to document management. So talking about the bulk upload, the bulk document upload and the e-signatures. And also a little extra that we threw in late last week is the e-signature reminders. And then finally onto the workflow automation. So let's get started on surveys. So we've added the NPS scores. I know this was a highly requested feature. I know just by speaking with customers that this is something that a lot of customers already use. So a lot of you might already be using NPS scores. And if not, it's quite high demand to be using these NPS scores. So it's a great way to measure engagement. So we've added these into our surveys module. I will give you a short demo in a minute. Then also moving on to the filtering and heat maps. We just have a little screenshot here, but I'll show you some more information or what that looks like in the demo now. Why is this so important? It means that you don't just ask the questions. You're not just asking employees what they think about the company or anything like that. You're also able to analyze those results and therefore also act on those results. So really nice new features. So let me show you in the surveys demo. So over here at the bottom, we're going to scroll down to surveys. I won't go through the whole module because it'll take a bit too much time. But if you do have questions or you're interested in the module, definitely just reach out to your growth manager because they will be more than happy to give you a demo of it or send some more information as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up the results for the employee engagement survey Q2. So scrolling down, the first thing I can see here is the NPS score. As some of you may know, or most of you may know, the NPS score is just a single question. So we've added that in here. What we can see is the percent detractors, passives, and promoters. We can see the average score. And if I click into it, we can get a bit more detailed. So over here, as you can see, we can see the average score. It also gives a bit more information about the NPS. We see the amount of detractors, passives, promoters, but also we see the comments that are linked to these results. What I'm now going to do is just scroll back up to the top, and we see next to the list button, we have heat map. So I'm going to jump into the heat map, and over here we get the juicy analytics that we want. So we have the filtering options here. So you can filter by department, office, team, but you can also click filter and you can basically choose any of these. So whether it's position or supervisor, etc. We're just going to leave as is for now, just to show you. If I scroll down, also we see that that NPS is also here in the heat map. Sorry. We can choose to view this in delta or by the scores. And we can also segment this information. So you can really go more in depth and see and pull the results that you're really looking to get. So you can segment again by department, you could segment by gender, by nationality, etc. We'll leave it for department for now, and I'll just talk you through what these results are saying. So we've left it in Delta, so we've had 66 responses. In customer service for this question, we can see that it's scoring is 12 points lower than average. For IT, it's 6 points higher than average. For marketing and sales, it's 2 points lower than average. And over here, we see +1 for the 3 segments. So I just want to talk about that quickly because you might actually have questions about the confidentiality and how we maintain that confidentiality. What we do is if you choose a confidential survey, you have a response minimum. So you could choose 3 response minimum, 5 response minimum, etc. If there are less responses in a segment, so for example, finance might only have 3 responses, then we aggregate those different, in this case, departments to make sure that we maintain that confidentiality. So this +1 is the aggregation of these 3 departments, so management, HR, and finance. What we can do is also click this and we can download that as a PDF. So that would be, I'll show you what that looks like now. And of course, we can also download these results in a CSV file. So I am just going to click back over to my PowerPoint. So over here, this is what that PDF would look like. So it's a great way because often with these analytics, we actually need to present the results. So a really easy way to just download that information and throw it into a PowerPoint. So do we have any questions?
So we do have an interesting question from Sabrina on the chat, asking whether the survey can be assigned on an individual basis. So I suppose it's not a matter of adding a big group of people to the survey, but adding people or like individuals one by one, and whether this could be used to create an exit interview survey. So we do have a product question and a use case question.
Yeah, interesting. Great question. Definitely, you could use that as an individual. So basically, when you're creating the survey, maybe I can very quickly show you this. If I go to adding a survey, I'm just going to, sorry, I need to click, skip this one. So over here, we can actually select people. So we can choose 1 employee, we can choose 10 employees. That is completely up to you. And you can also use this function, the filter function. For example, you can use it then in that exit interview, but you could also have it for things like a team event and gathering information for that and just filtering by the team and sending out the surveys just to those people. So I know what we spoke about previously was engagement, but definitely you can use it for a lot of different use cases, including the exit interview.
Thanks so much. And one second question, could you very quickly show what kind of answer possibilities we can offer in the survey? I guess that's the type of question we can have.
Yeah, definitely. So over here, I can show you the different type of questions. So we have scale questions. I won't go too into depth with this, but basically we have the scale questions. We have single choice. We have multiple choice. We have the open text, so that's basically free text. And then finally, we have the NPS score as well. All right. I think that answered the question. All right. Perfect. All right, then what I'll do is move on to the next section. So this is about bulk document template creations, bulk electronic signature requests. Again, highly requested feature. You might hear me saying this multiple times today because if you were in the last PPU in January, you might have heard this. I was really excited about the April PPU because we have so many exciting updates and they were all really highly requested features, and this is one of them. So rather than having to, when you're requesting an e-signature, you have to send these documents out one by one. And rather than having to import documents and having a very manual process, we can actually do this in bulk format. So I will show you this now. It will save you a whole load of time. Some of you might already have seen it. Some of you may have heard it, but not known where to find it. So I'll talk through that now. And also we have the e-signature reminders. So for whoever's using these e-signatures, personally, I've heard this quite often that the e-signature has been sent out, but then the employee can't find it anymore in their inbox and they need to scroll through and look for it. Especially when it's coming to the end of the 30 days. So this is a really nice feature. It's really easy to send reminders. So let me show you that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to toggle to the employees. We'll be in the employee list for this, for the bulk document creation and e-signatures. So here, for example, I am going to choose these first 5 employees. We want to send the same document to these 5 employees. So over here, we're going to click this blue button, the Actions button, and we're going to create documents. So the first step is we see templates. So these templates you can create yourself and they'll live in the settings. So I am going to choose for this demo, proof of employment. What we'll see here is the pre-filled variables. These variables are actually pulling from the employee attributes. So for example, the first name, last name, the hire date, position, fixed salary, these will be automatically filled in from the employee profiles. The editable variables are not being pulled from the employee profile. So for this example, we're going to add in the postal code. So I'm just going to put D6, document date. I believe it's a 22nd. I think I'm wrong here. I am rolling with it. And then the name of the HR manager, I'll put myself for now. And we're going to choose to add in the salary. Importantly, these 4 variables, these will be sent to each document. So these won't be individualized, if that makes sense. So the document date, the name of the HR manager, these will be on every single document that's being sent out, whereas these are individualized to the different employees. So I'm going to click next. And over here, we have the name that we need to add in, or we can leave it as such. I'm going to choose a PDF document and I'm going to choose the date. I was wrong, it's 24th. And we're going to click next. So over here, we can choose the e-signatures. So you don't have to request an e-signature. So here at the bottom, we can see skip signature request. But we are going to choose for this example, an e-signature. So we're going to choose here the person receiving this document. Really important is the reason why we only have 1 e-signature request here is because we don't have signature placeholders. If you need for a document 2 people to be signing it, you can have the e-signature placeholders over here when you're uploading the template, and then it will request the 2 different people to sign. And then we're going to click next. And this is basically a quick review of what we'll be sending out. And the only thing to really take into account here, or the important thing to note here, is that you have the option to notify employees about created documents. And then you can create the documents. It will send into to the employee profiles, into their document section. If you're requesting an e-signature request also, they'll get an email to sign the document. So really simple and easy to do. I'm going to click exit here because I don't need them to all receive these emails. But what I am now going to show you is how to send a reminder for the e-signature. So I'm going to toggle down to automations and we can click overview. And over here, we can see the part for the active signatures. I'm going to click view all signatures. And we can see that we have 2 pending e-signature requests here. So 2 ways of sending a reminder. So one at the end, you can click send a reminder to sign. And if you have a lot that you want to send reminders to, you can click this function here, click actions and send reminder to sign. And this will automatically send out that reminder. So do we have any questions?
We have a very quick one, maybe to redo the steps where you create the document from the employee list, I suppose.
So over here, we go to the employee list. I will just choose 3 of these. Over here, we click Actions and Create Documents. This first section is where we choose a template. So I'll choose Proof of Employment for this demo. And over here, we have the variables. If there's, Marta, if there's any follow-up questions to that question, I don't know if there's somewhere in particular they want to focus on. Otherwise, I'll just run through the steps again. So over here, we have the pre-filled variables that are pulled from the employees' profiles. And then over here, we have the editable variables. So I'm just going to add these in here. Oh, and let's just choose. There we go. No salary. And then we click next. Over here, we have the document to fill in extra information. So we have the name, we have the type, so document, a Word document or a PDF. We can choose the date, and over here we'll click next. Over here we have the signer, so we can click this button here. We can choose who will be signing, so I'm choosing the person receiving this document. And over here we also have details for the email signature. So we have English, German, Spanish, French. We can add in an optional message, and we can click next. You can choose here at the bottom to skip that signature request, so you don't have to. So for this example, I'll choose skip. And over here we have the review. And from there, we can just create the document.
Brilliant. That was it. Thanks so much.
Amazing. Thank you. Then moving on to the final part, the workflow automation. So those who have been with us for a while might have heard of the workflow automation. If you follow Personio, you'll also have heard of the workflow automation. Really exciting release. Again, as I said, what does this do? Why does this add value? It basically saves you time. It saves you from making errors. And also you can build in those repeatable tasks, so you don't have to manually go, okay, let me add in my calendar a reminder to send this person an email about this topic. You can build that into the automation framework. So these emails or the tasks will be automatically sent out. The reason I have this HR hour up here is because about a month or two ago, a colleague of mine, Waleed, along with Aika, they hosted the HR hour on workflow automation. It was very in-depth, so it was a full hour. We'll only be talking about it for 5 to 10 minutes. So yeah, it's a really interesting module, really helpful, and that full HR hour was for me personally even super helpful, so I'd highly recommend watching that as well. You can scan that code for the recording, otherwise I think it will be in the chat as well. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen again, and I am going to show you the workflow automation section. So we're going to toggle to automations again. If I click this, we were in the overview previously for the active signatures and sending those reminders. What we're now going to do is we're going to click the workflows. Over here, we can see a list of workflows, so we can see the names, we can see who it was created by. I really need to change that name, HR. And we can see the date it was, or when it was created, the times it's been triggered, last triggered, and also the status. What I'm going to do first of all is actually create a workflow and show you what this looks like. So over here, we create workflow. What you can see is this first option is starting from scratch. This means that you'll be building this whole template yourself or the workflow yourself. But what we also have is we've actually added quite a few templates to kind of get you started and help with what these can actually support you with. So for example, we have expiring vacation days reminder, we have upcoming absence notifications or notify supervisors of an absence. In the document section, we can have performance document notification. With the employee section, we have weekly hour change notifications or last working day. Attendance confirmed track time reminder. And also then in the other section, we have some examples as well. So I would highly suggest just having a look through yourself and just see what could add value to you as well to add these workflows in. So let's choose supervisor change notification for this example. What we see is 3 boxes here. With the workflows, we always have a trigger event. So this first one is an employee has a new supervisor. This will trigger, so when an employee gets a new supervisor, it will trigger the next event to happen. So send an update about this workflow. So over here, we can see the recipient, we can see the title, an employee has a new supervisor, and we can see the message. So the effect, oh, sorry, clicked away from there. The affected person has a new supervisor. They're now reporting to XYZ. And then that will also trigger the next notification, which is to the supervisor of the affected person that there is a new team member. So this is basically the format of the workflow templates and using workflows. So you have the trigger event, and this will notify the next steps, and it will trigger those next steps to happen. I'm going to show you what it looks like to start from scratch. Sorry about that. I think my voice is slowly going. So over here, the first thing that we can do is actually choose the trigger event. So whether that's an event in Personio, a scheduled event, so basically on a specific date, or relative to a date. So for example, let's choose relative to a date. Select date attribute, we can say employee termination date, and we want a notification, or we want the trigger to happen 15 days before the termination. We'll click next. So what we now have is we need to add the next step, and we can choose between a notification, an email, assigning a task, or request confirmation. So for example, we can choose send an email. So the recipient will be the affected person, for example. We can add in CC, BCC. We can choose reply to, and then over here we can add in the email itself. I'm not going to add in too much information here, but then over here we can update, and we can see how we can slowly build out these workflows, and they can be really personalized to what you and your own company needs, and also what your goals are within HR, what would make your life easier. So I'm going to save as draft. That was a very, very quick explanation of the workflow automation. As I said, we have the full HR hour as well. That will go into much more depth. But what I'm now going to do is actually ask if you have any questions, and Aika will be here to support with those answers.
Yeah, there seems to be, well, there's one question,
Mhm.
and Sandra is comparing this to onboarding and offboarding templates and wondering, okay, so when should we use onboarding templates, and then when should I use workflows?
I think there's a clear distinction in terms of like the philosophies right now between workflows and the onboarding functionality. With workflows, we rather focus on the small to mediums, lengthy workflows where you just send like a notification to someone or add an action or something, or even have like approval in the future as well included, to like certain, limited number of steps, so to say. With on and offboarding, as well as like this lengthy processes of rehiring or something, we recommend still to use the onboarding functionality. Ultimately, in the long term, and no timeline attached to this one yet, we want to integrate, of course, onboarding also into workflows, because ultimately it's also one workflow. But it's fairly complex to also keep a good overview of the onboarding function, or like the onboarding steps and templates. You can imagine, on the one hand, you can create like one workflow where you have like 50 different steps and just do your entire onboarding, and it's very hard to troubleshoot if there are like bottlenecks or something. It's currently not possible to do different things simultaneously in that sense. Or you could either like create different workflows for each kind of step or something. Theoretically, it's possible because we have to trigger from the hire date, but it will be very tough to keep an overview. So we kind of recommend not to use it for that right now. I mean, if you only have like a few little onboarding steps as part of the onboarding templates, might be a good use case. And also to like to use some of the functionalities that are not included in the onboarding feature. But yeah, that's probably like the main distinction between like this short to medium lengthy workflows to this very long processes where multiple employees are involved, a lot of checkboxes need to happen, a lot of actions need to happen, even upload documents or something, all these kind of things which are already integrated in onboarding are still kind of like limited in the current workflow feature. Hope that helps and answer the question.
Thanks so much, Eike.
Perfect. What I wanted to add in as well about the workflows, I know I used an example about 15 days notification before they leave the company, but something also we have, for example, is absences. So for example, having an expiration vacation day reminder. So here we have the 15th of January that a notification is sent out to please use your carryover days before the end of March. So there's also, I know my example was maybe a bit too related to onboarding and offboarding, but we also have templates and use cases that are not, that you wouldn't be able to use onboarding and offboarding for. I think we've just run out of time to answer any more questions. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for joining today. It was very nice. Well, I didn't see all of you, but really nice that you were all on board. We'd be really grateful if you could fill out the poll. We want to give you more value with all of these PPUs. So yeah, we'd be really grateful if you could fill that in. And thank you again so much for joining, and hopefully see you again next time.